Hey man, in the year 1844, a gentleman by the name Oscar Wilde said that life imitates art more than art imitates life. And to help me understand the concept, I have two gentlemen, two friends of mine, by the name Tshepo, Matlala, Letago, Molapo. You can tell by their surname, they come from this other place called Limpopo, where we have beautiful magic, man. My name is Gabelo Segiftang, and this is the Ink and Think podcast. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Are you guys good?
Oh, we're good,
We're
man.
good. Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you for having
you.
us.
Yeah.
I wonder why you decided on having us.
Matter of fact, at some point, the two of you, on separate occasion, you said to me, Kabelo, when are you going to invite us? Are we not big enough now? So I suppose you guys are
Big enough.
It was
Big enough.
pressing matter.
Yeah.
This is how we're big enough.
Yeah, but then the reason why I didn't invite you is because I know you guys are, two people who love to have fun. And unfortunately, here we don't have much of that, And Tshepo, you even speak about it in your bio, that Letago is going to read for us. You look at life in a form of comedy, So can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I read the bio.
Okay, director is saying read the bio first.
Okay, Erike Bale Bio. Tshepo Matlala is a graduate from the Market Theatre Laboratory. He's a performer who has skills in writing, directing, clowning, not surprising, and comedy. Tshepo's approach to work always comes from the spirit of playfulness. It is his belief that the world is way too beautiful to be serious, and that to make magic transpires from learning the mastery of balancing tragedy with comedy. Highlights from his work experience include drama facilitator at the National Children's Theatre. He's also part of the Naledi Theatre Awards winning ensemble productions No Easter Sunday for Queers, directed by Mwenya Kabwe, and Eclipse, directed by Sylvain Strike in collaboration with Pumlani Mdebele and Genius. I don't want to butcher someone's name, so I will leave that. Subsequently to his graduation at the Market Lab, he landed a role of Mashobani on Mzansi Magic's feature film, Manong, a lead as Tofolax on Mzansi Magic's feature film, Scandal Love, and a supporting role as Richmond on Mzansi Magic's feature film, produced by Liburu Graphi Pictures, a lead role as Zolani on Mzansi Magic's feature film, Impigiswano, produced by A Tribe Called Story, a supporting role as a gunman in Amazon Prime and EVOD film, a supporting role as Sandile on Obstruction, a Origins Pictures 14-part Mzansi Magic series, a supporting role as Tshepo on Younging's Showmax series produced by Cheza Pictures, and has left many audiences in awe of his brilliant performances. Most of his recent work, he was part of the critically acclaimed production The Fall at the Market Theatre, directed by the Theatre Geo.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a bio, man.
Yes.
What a bio.
What a
And
bio.
Hansa Bala Sogar Mur, give it a
Yeah, Tshepo, before you read the bio,
Yeah.
I want you to actually talk about me, the spirit of approaching life in a way, you don't take life too serious. Because I think that's one of my downfall. Now I take, I don't even remember the last time where I had the idea what I'm actually having fun. Matter of fact, if I'm having fun, I get angry at myself. Something is wrong. Why am I happy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where does that come from?
So, which I think it's all because also, because go ahead 7.
Damn.
Start 7. So already the time, so already alispan timer alispan, and already ke moto wa bona ke di piece job timer le ena ke moto di piece job. So my ara tlhakane le papal cabbage. Obvious re ka se le papal cabbage, or maybe ke ra nna ke ya mpetong ke saje. So ntse ke kaole mara lo kaola gore e ke taste KFC ge ka cabbage e re ke taste pizza ka cabbage wabo. So look ria, di joke politeness ka ra ntutse o re jang, not to say gore papa le cabbage di bad, mara o ja mlebe le wena wa bona re phela a se taba tsa gore ke option, how na choice it's something no ija, you understand. So and also me growing up under a less privileged background, also ile yang foster or ke shebe life in a different way, because I'm like, if I'm in this situation and I'm allowing this thing to happen to me, then it'll never happen to the thing itself. So me wanting to, I wanted to, to be in power of that kind of situation by using comedy. I'm like, I was thinking, that ain't light, man. A go serious yalo, if you lizenke wa bona re moya pula se fa go ya tla moya ke o nyaka gore ene lizenke ke le speaker ke se wa bona re ntse re tsikitsi le nyako vaya wa sheba la reng re tse di joke mona lizenke le nyako vaya so a se kitaba tsa re yo lizenke la tsamaya ba nong mpeto o thapa bo so life ina approach ka man ke approach jalo vela bo so I think daring yaka ya bu comedy also when it comes to me how I approach certain things in life, it's always balancing the tragedy and comedy as well, because kaya go sa ting le labo tragedy bole ke na ke ba depression ke ba suicidal thoughts, all those things. Not to say that I'm using comedy as an scapegoat, but it's a thing that I use. It's an antibiotic that I take each and every time, it's my daily dose. So yeah,
Laughter is a medicine.
That's what they say.
Laughter is a medicine.
That's a beautiful way to actually, approach this thing called life. Sometimes it gets too dark, and we must create light. If we don't see the light, we must actually try to create that light. Letago, at some point Yeah, I was saying at some point the Tshepo spoke about cabbage, So I don't know. You are from Limpopo as well. I'm from Limpopo as well. So we used to actually call it Johan 14. Johan 14 because of how good funeral and constantly, from time to time, Morena So you on the other side, you are a person approaches life with a sense of spirituality, especially these days. These days, Can you tell me more a little bit about that before we get into the matter that we're here to discuss?
I mean, for me, it was not even a choice. I'm coming from both sides of the family. I was born sitting as a Christian church. So both my mom and my dad's side of the family, they belong to the same church, so there's no way of running for it. But growing up, you see it as okay, I'm being forced to do this thing. Why do we have to go to church? Why is this thing being done at church? But then as you grow up, then you slowly find God for yourself, not for what you were taught at home. And that's why right now in my life, I'm all for Jesus, I'm all for the Bible, I'm all for Christianity. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Does it help you in your creativity or does it hinder you? Because like in the world of creativity, spirituality, or especially Christianity, it's one of those things that So I'm just wondering, as a creative, how do you find a way to balance that spiritual life or that Christian life with creativity?
I mean, one of my theater shows, joke on my one hand, it's very sort of Bible, questioning the Bible. The Bible is there, but of course we question it. And I remember when I was doing research, and doing research in terms of I'm homosexual and I'm Christian, and trying to find, and there are all these scriptures Bible about homosexuality. And then as you do research, you start to realize that things were lost in translation along the way. For the fact that the first time there was a mention of homosexuality in the Bible, it was in 1946 when they translated the Bible to English. Before that, there was a different word, and the word was just sort of speaking to people being pedophiles. So sometimes I do question, but there are some things that don't make sense. I'm just like, okay. But there are some things. I'm at a point, I remember this year, my agent sending me a link to say what kind of productions would I not want to be a part of, and I was like very clear, I would not do anything that mocks God or mocks Christianity or that kind of stuff. So I will not do anything that against my belief. Controversial like advertising alcohol, I will not do that.
Do they give you that option?
You mean my agents?
Yeah, generally in the world of creativity, do you get to choose what? Okay, I'm not going to deal with this kind of, because I know
you tell your agent. My agent knows I will not do anything that promotes alcohol or promotes smoking or an abuse of substances. So there is that freedom. Yeah, unless I don't know if other agencies. I mean, we belong to the same agency, so they want to know what are you open to doing and what are you not open to doing. So there's that freedom, I guess. Yeah.
And when I say, where do you draw the line? Is there something that you like? This I'm not going to do.
Yeah, brother. I mean, I'm also Christian. You know?
Yeah.
I think recently there's a deal that I got somewhere. You know, but also in part of the deal, I did mention that I don't want to be affiliated with any alcohol brands. Because I don't want to promote alcohol, you know. That's not what my brand stands for. I think the most important thing in this industry, if you know exactly as a brand what your brand stands for, then you're able to maneuver around, you know, which deals to take and not to take, you know. Because once one anabaroto peli before, you know, your serenity and all those things, then coach IV.
Yeah. True.
I love it. I love it. Protecting your peace.
Yeah.
But doesn't that like cost you mebereko? Or it's a price that you guys are actually willing to pay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a price I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, same
Because
here.
you know, you always hear actors you always hear people saying, "Do not lose yourself." People lose themselves in this industry, and it starts small like that. You're like, Eric is coming to the alcohol brand. Eric advertise, you know, Bale, and then jiggy. Obviously, because I think I don't know if you advertise alcohol and la shoota, do you drink the actual alcohol or it's only proper, but. And then it jiggy says always. So
Yeah.
you need to always remind yourself of who you are and what you stand for, and not lose that.
Yeah. I wanna tell you a story because of what you guys just said is going to lead to the conversation that we are here to have.
Yeah.
Understanding the idea of art imitating life or life imitating art, or is there a middle ground? What's happening? Because a lot of people are actually complaining about a lot of things that we see on television, especially these days, or on streaming services, that, you know what, there seems to be a lot of things. There is an agenda, you know. So I'm surprised to actually hear from the both of you to actually say, Jorge, actually you can say no to some of the things, you know.
Yeah.
So back in the days, there was a man by the name, his name is Bernard, but he's his uncle is a father of psychoanalysis. So this is like back in the days. Sigmund Freud is like Uncle Wagara. So this is like Uncle Wagara is the top people when it comes to analyzing the brain.
Yeah.
So the nephew, obviously having to learn from the uncle, he was one of the people people used to hire for propaganda. You know, so back in the days. So what they would do, the government would, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a known thing. So what would happen is that if they wanted to sell something, they would go to him, and then he would tell him, Bernard, okay, this is how we make people buy things, you know. You show an advert of this burger. You just, you know, not Jorge, because of like it's a thing you do something with time. When you are hungry, Tshepo, you think of that burger. So at some point they had a lot of cheese, like not only cheese ends. So they did not know what to do with it. They were like, we have a lot of cheese, we don't know how to sell it. So they started to approach movie creators. They started to approach people who were creating series back in the days. They were like, we're gonna give you a lot of money if you guys mention cheese on your stories. You know?
Okay.
So you'd watch a movie randomly, like, wow, I love that bread. And then somebody's going to come and like, you know what would go great with that bread? Cheese. You know. And then from there, anything. They started to add cheese on pizzas. They started to add cheese literally on everything. So everywhere you would go, randomly you'd just see cheese and you would not know why. And then at some point, people started to believe that they can't eat anything without cheese. You know.
Damn.
So that's the kind of genius that goes into the kind of things that we see on the screens. You know. Number two, there's a department in the Go America. So this department it's basically in charge of. It's called the Pentagon. So they're in charge of if there's a war. If there are aliens, if there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so they are responsible for that. Go America.
Yeah.
So recently, people just found out that a lot of movies are being funded by these people.
By the Pentagon.
Okay.
By the Pentagon. So sometimes you'd come with the script, you're like, script diggies. they're like, we see you're talking about the war that happened in 1884, but we don't love how you speak about America losing this fight.
Yeah,
So
man.
we're going to need you to twist this thing in this way, you know, because of people watch these things from television, you know. So with all that I said, I'm not going to ask you any question. I just want to share what do you guys think, and then I'm going to do some follow-up questions, and then from there we're going to talk about your careers.
Yeah.
I want to start with you, Tshepo.
Well, I think you are right, because speaking back to that, you know, you need to know what you want, you know, because also, you know, these brands, they are very smart, because you're always gonna go for, you know, very influential people, right? Because they have the influence, you know, to get the numbers that they want, or because their market, also their consumers, you know, also they are more reliant on who's behind, you know, advertising the thing, right? Because it's another so rena phela re go jiving kabane the brand tse di buy obviously di tlo share wa yebo and the brand ke tsona tse di latang gore no wait, if we advertise our brand with this person, because this person has so many amounts of, you know, followers on Instagram, on TikTok or Facebook, then yeah, we are most likely gore re be monate wa bo. Then I'm the one who gets to decide then gore okay sharp ke a batla o tuna daring or jwang, you know, and that's when now you are thinking as an actor now, what you're esan. And batho ba bang ka isjumbulu sesikana ke na le zagai, so do I get to do this thing for money? So now the question of, you know, whether doing this thing for money itself or knowing exactly why you are doing this thing, you know. I know sometimes when we have to, you know, pay our bills and all those things, but at what cost? No, I understand. So and I think it's something that is itlopila ili thing, itlopila etsagala, you know. It's just that now it depends on us, you know. Naleta go re tshwana. So if you know advertiser the condom today, now I don't get to advertise them. You know, it depends when I'm but you're not saying it's wrong to do so. We're just saying if this is really what you want to do or what your brand stands for, then yeah, it's okay. You're more than welcome to do so, right? It's just that personally, there's some things that I cannot do in the expense of maybe money and all those things. Right? Yeah, I first question the thing first before questioning the money. Oh, is that enough now? Or whether is this thing good for me? And what is it going to do? Why do they need me so much to do this thing for them? And yeah,
But do you really believe that there are some agendas from people with money, like to soy people?
There's always an agenda, because now there's always a price that you need to pay, because money is not that free lying around. No, there it is. You know, that's why it's hard to really get the thing, the money itself. You know, so there's always going to be a price to pay. And also it depends which price is it, you know. Is it a price that tempers with your spirituality, your self-belief, when as a person, you know, your relationships, you know. If I get to do maybe, for example, sex scenes, you know, there's always, and I mean, come on, I get to work in Alabama. If what's 16, obvious, at least I can get race jumbulu se akupuga leson.
They are telling
Maybe
me.
se akupuga, because there's no way. Maybe se akupuga, because there's no way. So this is me now saying, okay, I'm in a relationship, right? I need to think about, you know, how is this thing going to affect the people that I'm around. Or understand? Obviously, if you get media, there's no way that you get to shop at.
And is your medi cool with sex scenes?
Exactly, you understand?
Is she?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy you asked that question. Letago, what about you?
I mean, people watch.
But also, like in you responding to this question, I want you to not only think of yourself as a creator, but also I want you to think of yourself as somebody who consumes content. You know, are you getting those subliminal messages, those subtle messages that are trying to influence you to do something? You know, you can speak on the matter both as a creator, but both as somebody who gets to watch content.
I mean, people watch, let's say, TV, or you get on TikTok. You know, it's for entertainment, and the people on TikTok, they could be selling you a lifestyle, and once they use someone who you look up to, and you're like, and they use them to advertise sort of and our siblings, they spend a lot of time on social media, and they follow this person, they look at them as a role model. Once they use them to advertise something, let's say alcohol, and my sibling is like, okay, that looks, they sell it in a very fancy way, and Why it feels like Rebecca alcohol today, but we are not bashing.
Yeah, we're
it.
not bashing anything.
I'm just saying that they always show the before of you in advertisement, the before of the person drinking the alcohol. They never show the after. That malume you pass by it at 6 a.m. lying in outside the tavern. They never show the consequences of all these things. So,
But you know what this is sort of to catch you.
Yeah.
Drink responsibly. So it's not their problem.
So-
But
Who
you know
is
what's
the-
funny, Tshepo,
yeah.
about that is that they always have that, especially with gambling. Ne?
Yeah.
But Khauga Sheba, it's always like the smallest letters. Like on the advert,
yeah.
everything is like going to be big.
and the drink
Yeah,
is at the bottom, and it's a long line, and the
Yeah.
feet are very fast.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and how you mentioned like gambling. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were speaking about there's this gambling place that I won't mention. Or the place, the way it's designed inside, the ceiling or the roof, it looks like it's outside.
Yeah.
It looks like clouds. Like, you know what I'm thinking about now.
Guides.
And the people are there.
Yeah.
So they keep you can stay there for 24/7 because you don't even realize that time is moving. That was intentional. It was not just aesthetics. They thought about it. So these people, they always think about these things and these little messages that they do. But now you spoke about if I pick up these things, I'm very careful in terms of what I consume. I don't just consume anything. Even if I'm on TikTok, if something I can see a couple of seconds in that, okay, I don't like this, and I'll pass. So yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did.
Yeah.
But you know, if there's a company that's trying to sponsor us, pull through.
Alcohol.
I know,
After this episode.
No, alcohol, no. I think the thing that you just mentioned about this place that has like, it goes back to this guy that I'm talking about, Bernard. He's like the father of PR. So at some point, cigarettes didn't have a lot of consumers. So what they did, they started to hire a lot of women. So if you watch movies Takale, you're gonna have this beautiful classy
Out of
woman
nowhere.
with a cigarette. So that was very intentional. You know,
Yeah.
there was a budget allocated. This is how we're going to sell these things to women. You know, so the classier they look, the better people like. Okay, that
Even watching TV and you see a person, every time a person is stressed, they're just like,
Yeah.
exactly.
maybe
So
one day you're stressed, you're like,
there's aesthetics with that.
Yeah, because also a lot of them, they don't market the product, but the feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
yes.
It's always gonna be the thing, you know. Where at what point do you consume this thing of ours? Like you were saying now, if maybe you're stressed, box and then all of a sudden, when are you thinking? Yeah, I wanna get stressed.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I used to think it was so cool watching TV, and then you see these people coming or ordering at the restaurant or coming back home. Hey, your phone, say.
It's my phone with you. Okay.
Yeah, a person coming get to restaurant and be like, whiskey on rocks. Yeah, like, okay, that seems so cool. I'm not even sure I'm using the right link. Or they're coming back
What's the
home,
rocks?
and then it's just like, it's just like, okay, that looks cool. As a young person, I used to do that with Coke. Or do like Coca-Cola, put water. It looked like it, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
it looked cool. The aesthetic of it looked pleasing.
It looked great.
Yeah.
You guys spoke about something, and there's a lot. Tshepo said gore ga tshwane le wena, but there's a lot of similarities about you guys. One of those things, obviously, you just spoke about how you wouldn't compromise on your characters. But two, ever since I've known you, even before streaming services, ever since Lefeditse go Skolo, you've been people that are able to throw themselves at different projects, even if it has nothing to do with acting. You know, so. I just know you guys are not going to starve in this industry because like you hustle in every side. I was actually thinking of Tshepo the other time. I've worked with Tshepo Kogoditsomo. And trust me when I say that the first person that we got there every time nearly Tshepo. You know? Even if he had to sweep, even if he had to clean the room, like
It'd be there.
Tshepo literally takes everything serious, whatever it is, like he's just gonna do it with that. I've also seen that with you, Letago, when you do stage managing. Can we talk a little bit about that? Those careers and those works has nothing to do with You know, being a director, you know, being an actor, you know, being a writer, you know, those mebereko ele, you know. Can you guys tell me why are you guys still taking those jobs, and what's the advantages of not taking them?
Okay. Should I go first?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I learned very early on in my career, first year, that I cannot just be an actor only. And our then head of the lab, Clara Vaughan, would ask us, what else can you do? She was like, everyone can be an actor, but what else can you do besides acting? Because everyone in this country, they think they can be an actor, which is great. But what else still within the industry that you can still do? Even besides acting. And that's when in my first year then I would sort of start helping out in the theater. I remember the first production I did was with Tshepo. She's a mutual friend of ours, and I was like, okay, stage management looks okay. It looks like it's not that much of a job. It's just simply taking care of the cast, looking after the cast, making sure they have everything they need. And I didn't think it was much of a job, but other people looking from the outside, they're like, yo, I would never do that. And looking back now, I realize it's one of the most greatest decisions I've ever made for myself, because I the other day I was looking at, I have 3 CVs. I have my acting CV, my storytelling CV, and my stage management CV. And I was looking at all my CVs, I'm like, the stage management CVs, is the CV that has been getting me more jobs than all these other CVs. And I was like, damn, ever since I graduated, I don't know if I was not stage managing, what else would I be doing? Because I think I've had 3-4 acting jobs ever since graduating, but stage managing more than 10. So it was very important for me to find another thing still within the art that I can still do, that can put bread on my table. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Cut and paste. You know, because especially if you're a freelancer, you know, and also doing something that will never compromise, you know, the passion that you have for this, you know, art thing.
Yeah.
Right. That sometimes doesn't make sense financially, you know. So now it goes back to the question of what else can you do outside of, you know, acting, you know. Because then, you know, when I tell people this, acting is one of the things that I do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm not just an actor. You know, if there's something and I'm able to do that thing, I do it. You know, that's how you're able to sustain yourself. You know.
Yeah.
Because now waiting for a phone to ring, but no, you know, because we are all I mean, this within the arts, data through, you know, phone calls, emails, WhatsApp text. Hey, are you available for this? You know, but earlier acting, it's processing. It's very tricky. It's not just a one phone call and then it happens just like that. You are starting next week or next month.
Yeah.
You know, there are other processes that you have to undergo. You know, and it's difficult because now it's very competitive. That thing also. You know, it's not easy to get a job. That's why.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time you're also clapping hands for the ones who are getting the thing because it's not easy. You understand? So Lina, that's how I'm able to sustain myself. Also the stage management also, you know, because Lina Kishaba Siviak, stage management is on a silver, you know. So and when you look at acting, there's a lot of things that I did, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's not enough for Kati sustain. Because Hakishaba Daring, I'm like, okay, if Nekishable acting on its own, without the other things that I did.
Yes.
Something.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, he mentioned something important, that within the art. So finding something else. I agree, you still love this acting thing.
Yeah.
So find something that still keeps you closer to it.
Yeah.
So as a stage manager, I'm looking at the director directing the actors. I'm taking notes for myself.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the next character that I'm going to do, I'm going to apply that thing that they did. So do something that still keeps you closer to the art, because that's your first love. Once you pull away from it, then you're gonna be like, this acting thing. Yeah.
Because you are focusing on this acting.
Yeah, this acting.
Yeah.
So basically, it's important to diversify the portfolio
Within the art.
but also just make sure that it's within the art.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
we don't want to badmouth the arts also as a whole.
No.
You know? There are other greater opportunities
Besides
within the arts, besides acting. You know, because each and every, you know, thing that you are doing in the arts, inali matata on.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, how you guys get this? It's like
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No.
Letago, there's a beautiful scripture. It's not a beautiful scripture. I don't know why I'm saying what it's a beautiful scripture,
Yes.
but it speaks about the thing that we spoke about. Because I want to, the flip side of the conversation that we just had about people get influenced by the arts. There are people who blame the arts for literally everything and not taking responsibility. Nah?
Yeah.
For example, yes, we acknowledge the fact that there is a lot of intended, because it is intended. There's a lot of intended content of, especially in South African, not in South African production, no production, nudity. There's a lot of nudity in our production. There was a series that I was watching. It's not South African. It's a great series.
Yeah.
But every first episode, the opening thing is a sexual scene.
Damn.
And a very intense sexual scene, and then they get to the story. I had to okay, I don't think I'm ready to watch this, But also, do you think, as people who consume the art, can we take responsibility? The scripture that I wanted to talk about, Tshepo, says, if your eye is making you to sin, if your right eye is making you to sin, take your right eye. It's okay. Tshepo is excused. If your right eye is making you to sin, remove it. And then the scripture goes on to further say, it is better to lose an eye than to lose your soul, which is what you guys spoke about. And I love that scripture because it speaks of accountability. You are going to be influenced by so many things, but at some point as consumers, we have to draw the line.
Yes.
Can you guys speak on that? Are these people telling the truth? There's a lot of divorces on television. The relationships and there's a lot of sexuality that goes in there and in our television production.
Yes.
There's a lot of alcohol. There's a lot of that. Can you speak about? Matter of fact, Tshepo is from Younging's, a beautiful production, which is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And Soft Life. No, it's Soft Life. I wouldn't forget. I'm thinking like, what is it that I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So there is a bit of what I am talking about, but I wanted to talk about the responsibility of somebody who gets to consume the art.
I mean, I love the scripture that you just quoted, because it also further goes on to say that the eye is the window into the body. So whatever you consume,
the window to your soul.
the window to your soul. Yes. So, as I've mentioned, I'm very careful in terms of what I consume. I'm a firstborn at home, so I'm a deputy parent. I make sure I control what my siblings watch on TV and what they consume on their phones. Sometimes it's an invasion of their privacy, but I go through the phone, I check what they search, I check their algorithm, because you can tell. Once I kick on a TikTok, my little sister, I can tell, okay, this is the kind of content that they're watching. I remember the other day, kicking out YouTube, my little brother, and she was watching a lot of Smash and Pass. I was like,
something is off here.
We cannot do that. So it's very important. I mean, what's on TV, we cannot control what they are showing there. And what you're saying, there's a lot of divorce. There's this show, I won't mention it. I love it so much. I've been loving it. And and then Papa was like, no man, there's only one marriage that has survived since the beginning. All the other marriages that came after, like, what are they trying to say? Yes, we know it's the reality of South Africa, but you are trying to build some, you are trying to unlock something more by name. So bana ba go la ba bona gore go a thitiwa go hlalana, life goes on. How ba ruti gore okay, in relationships, yes, we meet challenges, but we still continue to build a family structure, because that way we are losing family structures in our society. If bana ba tlogola ba bona gore ke divorce le bana ba tlogola ba bona gore and then we lose the having family structures within our communities. And
I hear you.
Yeah.
But are you? I'm playing the devil's advocate with these questions that I'm asking. But can we say gore television is responsible for raising our kids?
It responsible television is responsible for raising our kids. That's why I get it. Then parents need to monitor what their kids watch.
Exactly.
Because I remember I wrote a post last year talking about how my mother didn't know how to have the talk with me. So she would sit me down and be like, let's Soul City.
Yeah.
And then we watch Soul City, and then you realize, unprotected sex leads to this. Okay, there's all these things, bullying and so forth. And then because I'm homosexual, and I think she could see, but I didn't understand what was happening. She sat with me down and we watched, there was a series, After 9. So you see, she decided, okay, this is what we're watching. Mara, she wouldn't allow me to watch The Bold and the Beautiful. Like, for example, because not only a lot of cheating, even now, that show is still running, and but we are not there.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of cheating and there was a lot of intimate scenes, and she didn't want us to consume any of those things. Like kissing scenes, she was just like, no, we are not watching that. So we need to be careful in terms of what we consume and what our kids consume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up with parents like that. Like whenever there was a sexual scene, or they would change the remote. I remember making an argument. They were like, I'd be like, I want to watch a movie, and then they're like, Kabelo, age restriction 1 2 3 1 2 3. I'm like, why are kids not allowed to watch this film? Marakibwana bana. There are kids there, so which means we can watch it, So, but with time I got to understand what they were actually protecting me, which is unfortunately something that we.
But did they have the conversation to explain why? Because our parents made it sort of taboo, or if they had to have the conversation with us about sexual intercourse and all those things, intimate things on TV, they made it to impart fear. Well, for me, it wasn't like a direct conversation, but from the sense that I got was like, okay, this is not a bad thing, but it's just a matter of age. The age, you shouldn't be partaking in these things, although it wasn't like a very direct conversation, because remember, our parents are learning, we are also learning. Hopefully we're going to be better with better parents, but also we can't take credit because we have resources. We get to have these conversations, back then some of the conversations were not allowed to be had, Tshepo, I don't know if you want to add on the subject.
Just with, I think you become what you are exposed to. And that's, and whatever, then depends or king and consume, because you become the thing, subconscious is slow and unconscious is so you're gonna become the thing. And sometimes we'll have a consumer to force back you, because okay, maybe reasoning how or how you do things, they are guided by the things that you consume. And when I look at TikTok, because now there's like I think algorithm social media also is study party, and then it keeps on showing you the same thing over and over again, because that's how you are programming yourself in that thing, in that device that you keep on scrolling, understand? And then automatically, obvious, you're gonna be that person who believes in whatever thing that you're seeing, and that's the danger of that thing also, and in our South African television, I think you mentioned something about divorce, that there's this other program where there's one
couple that's been holding it down.
Or maybe, I don't know, because also, I think storytelling also is about perspective, right? They can, because sometimes we, or television, or storytelling can never give you all the answers or come with solutions, because that's them superimposing what things are supposed to be, right? Maybe now, hence I'm saying about a perspective thing. Maybe in that one marriage, that's where now you're like okay,
you should be focusing on that.
I really focus on if in because now they are showing you different dynamics of marriages, and then now you get to see, I think ele ona lead to divorce, and then ele lukile like lukile young, and then also go as a consumer, I think this is something that I fucks with, I think it's a matter of perspective also.
And I mean, in defense of that show, maybe they're also trying to show us these are the things that lead to divorce. Because all the divorces, if I think about it, they were it was different reasons.
They get to show you how we got here.
Yeah.
So It's one of those conversations that I usually don't have a backbone for these kind of conversation. If I were to it's really tough. Okay, so if I were to have a conversation with somebody who agrees with the fact that TV has a lot of influx of sexual scenes and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I get to give them an ear. Okay, I understand where you're going with this. I've seen a lot of that, but then there's going to be somebody who's like, no, television is not responsible for that. You know, there's a lot of capitalism that goes behind this, and also these people are not, because as audience members we are hypocrites. You know. As audience members, we are hypocrites. We say, why there's no educational shows? There are. But if you check at the ratings are low, because we have to admit as an audience ourselves, we love drama. You know, the reason why that other channel is selling is because of there is buyers for that. There is, you know, and even in music, you know, you watch it, a lot of people's career, they sing beautiful 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then next thing, the next album, they're starting to show a thigh. There is a market for that, you know. There are people, they get to manipulate what we get to like. You know, if you remember, Tshepo, back in the year 2006, the kind of woman that we saw on television was skinny woman. It was the Megan Goods. We were like, yeah, we all that, you know. We love that. Our little sisters inspired to have those kind of bodies and all of that. And then at some point, there was a turnaround because somebody made a decision. Okay. Now we're gonna sell a new cheese. Remember the thing that I told you about the cheese? They're like, okay, now we're gonna sell a new cheese. And now you watch every music video, there's cheese. Now you know there's artificial cheese. There's like, you know, there's a lot of that because some of the people get to, you know, okay. I think there's a conversation that can go further and further and further, you know. So I want to take this last 5 minutes of our time to talk about your careers, you know. You guys are Showmax people, and I'm super proud of you for Kweletswanko thing. And I both enjoyed everything that I've watched. Television, I've enjoyed it. Theater, I've enjoyed it. Streaming services, you guys are super talented. But I just want to know, from the both of you, how do you guys balance television and theater? You know, and also what's the actual difference? What kind of skills are required for television? What kind of skills are required for theater?
I knew this question was gonna come. Bopra Hamilton by Solville. But yeah, for now, I don't think it's just two different mediums, right? But they both serve the same purpose, you know, storytelling, right? Now it's just a matter of training, right? If you got to be trained for film, it's going to be hard to do theater sometimes, right? Sometimes if you had like intense training in theater, it's going to be hard for you to do screen. So those are two different mediums. So they both serve the same purpose. One is greater than the other, you know, they all do the same thing, you know. And also how I find the balance, I think balance is just waiting for that phone call to happen, right? But it's the thing, am I ready when that phone call comes, you know? So that's on me now, right? But in terms of the balancing of the two, I did balance a sharp, you know, because the training that I got was for theater, as you all know again. That gives up on theater, right? But the training I got an opportunity to really screen for acting. This one also get so that when you get to the other world, you are able to do the things, right? So I think that's pretty much about it. There isn't much difference between theater and TV, because Baba TV hampe. Mara today, Bamo TV. But now they sign a contract at 3 years, right? It's just that sometimes I get out to read the tracks. No, I didn't mention names. Okay, I'm just saying tracks, you know. I'm not saying people are smoking tracks, but
I mean, where we got trained, it's very stage intensive, and I think we do screen for like 1 semester. Well, for us, we did screen in the last semester of the school. So when going into TV, I remember my first short film. The director kept on saying, you bring it down a bit. I was there and
projecting.
I was projecting, and she kept on being like, Letago, bring it down a bit. And I remember they ended up unmiking me. They're like, we'll use the boom because time. So I realized, okay, I need to sort of hone my craft in terms of when it comes to TV, because TV focuses on this. We're not that big. So yeah, that was a challenge for me. But balancing between the two, as Tshepo has said, waiting for that call. I think we've both been fortunate that the job opportunities come. There isn't usually a clash, even if there's a clash. I mean, last year when I was shooting the show Maxine, there was a clash with a show I was stage managing here at the market. But because the market, they know my work as a stage manager, they're like, oh, we know you can balance between the two. Even if so I would leave once or twice a week to go shoot. So yeah, God has been great in that regard, that we are able to balance and do the two.
I love it.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time. Youngings, Soft Life. Both of your characters, I don't know if this was intentional, but they are sort of used to build a certain level of contrast. First season, Youngings, when the story got too intense, they would balance it with Tshepo's scenes.
Comedy.
There was that, oh my God, this is too intense. And then I used to think a lot. Then they put the Tshepo with the chicken, with the crying, which I want to know how did those things come about. But when I was watching Soft Life, I was like, this is the very same thing, Hey, there's a lot of phones that are ringing today. So there was a lot of they did that with your character on Soft Life. It was beautiful. The moment the story gets intense, they go to empty. It was a dope podcast that and myself, and then the story gets that comedic relief, So I'm just wondering what was the relief. And then season 2, I'm not done with season 2. They do the opposite thing. Everybody's having fun. They go to Tshepo's character. He's like, Wagoisha, Wapirisha. And then I'm like wondering what did your directors have those kind of conversations, because it's a huge responsibilities that your characters both have.
I mean, for me, as soon as I went through the script, I realized, I quickly realized, hey, batho ba tlogela go phone. Well, as soon as I went through the character bio, it didn't say MT is a funny podcaster, but as you read the script, you realize, MT is actually the comedic relief of the show. So you start understanding your role within the bigger picture of the show. And then I had a conversation with my director, Nozi Ponkelemba, to understand the character and to sort of not try to be funny and push to be funny, but still stay true to MT, but still achieving what MT is meant to do in the show, which is be a comedic relief. Yeah, even when he goes through the most, because I remember there was a scene where he goes through the most, like ba metile or
spoilers.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine.
But yeah, he's going through the most, and Nana was thinking of making it deep, and the director was like, no, make it ridiculous. MT is that way, make it ridiculous. So
it was intentional.
It was intentional, but the writers also made it that way on paper.
Kudos to the writers, man.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Question that is related to the kind of conversations that we were having, Letago. You mentioned the fact that you are homosexual, and then also there you play a gay character.
Yes.
There is there's a series called Adolescents. They're complaining about.
I've watched it.
I'm yet to watch it. It's 4 episodes, fella, ne?
Yeah, it's a limited series.
Yeah, it's a limited series. So there is people who are complaining, lefatshe le senya banna, we're trying to make everybody gay, because this thing is contagious. You watch it on the screen, and then tomorrow you're gay. Because our biggest fear is not for our children to be criminals and kill people. Like, our biggest fear is that what's going to happen if my child is gay. Like, that's the worst thing that can happen. So I know obviously gay people are not monolith. You are not speaking for all gay people. But I'm just wondering, as Letago yourself, what do you make of those kind of conversations? That there's a lot of influx of homosexuality, literally in everything. There's a gay character there, like in everything. What do you make of such conversations?
I mean, again, perspective. It's not like they're pushing homosexuality onto people. It's a representation.
Yeah.
They're doing a show, they're like, okay, we have all these maybe people who speak different languages or all these people, then we need somebody to represent the LGBTQI plus community. And I don't see how watching a TV and then you see a gay person and you might be like, maybe we're curious.
I'm curious.
Hey, but I think it's ridiculous, man. Personally, I think it's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's funny. In South Africa, they haven't really
got into that.
There was a writer I was speaking to, and he was like, Letago, you don't know how long I've been trying to push to write a show or pitching ideas of a show that's like centered around homosexuality, but commissioners keep on saying South Africa is not ready for that kind of content. So what do we mean? Having one or two gay people in a show, then it's pushing the agenda? No. You
know what's funny is that the three of us are theater people, and like in every theater, like they tell you turn off your phone. And today, our phones were on. I have a short interview that I'm supposed to do for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes after this one. So I get it. We don't have. There's a job post if you want to be a volunteer administrator of the show. Send me your CV. Go volunteer. Exposure. Tshepo, thank you, Letago, for speaking on that. It's indeed a matter of perspective, you know, and I think we need to give people more grace. Generally as a society, you know, so I'd love to see a society where we are more graceful with one another, you know, regardless of our own beliefs, you know. I love the fact that you still find yourself at the church, you know, and then when you get to the church, you get to hear about all those things because, you know, we get to learn. So I'm just hoping we could understand as people, we just grow. You know, we just want to be better people. We just want to work with whatever that is being given. So it's just a matter of perspective. And I thank you for playing your characters with true genuine and with that dedication and with that beauty because you were dope. King of Limpopo, by the way.
Thank you.
We didn't even get to speak about that. Tshepo, can you speak about that?
Because because also I agree we are storytellers, right? So if you don't want to see gay people's stories, that are you saying gay people don't exist? You know what I mean? So yes, it's their story and their stories will be told, right? Hey, so keep it.
You know, it's funny that people feel the same way when they see black characters. You know, like there was a point where like, no way, like there's a lot of black people in these movies.
So are you saying we don't exist?
They're like,
I'm sorry, in On Youngings, they did a lot of homosexual people. We related a lot to Sefako and Dumelo's story. A lot of us. So you see the importance of representation. A lot of us, they were like, oh my gosh.
I see myself in that.
I see myself.
No, I get it. These are the conversations that we're going to continue having because I told you that you guys have to come back. Tshepo, can you wrap it up by talking about the balance and the contrast that I just spoke about, that comedic relief? What were the conversations between you and the writers and the directors?
I think for character I can also agree.
And also the chicken. So I want to know how did that scene come about because people are gonna kill me if I don't ask you that.
Oh no! Kudos to the writers, the directors, you know, producers, you know, Lady Channel,
and myself as well.
And also not being flagged as, you know, animal brutality and all those things, you know. But because Tshepo Vele is just a, you know, a class clown, you know. He's a menace, grand sharp, and likely enough. Kiso and Negeliso.
So
Matata Simulator, because Lina Octava Koskela and Elena Namchita, I could do a ke bona ka re wa pora tlaseng e tshwanetse be le something nyana wa ebo so that nga izwakala gape I remember I went back down memory lane romile le madam wa bona di pillow talk madam ke gopola man ke 3 re ntse so grade 7 so a ke qoqa le motho di a tla ditoritse ka fela I jot some things down you understand o yena ne le comic relief yang go tlaseng how it's jwang you know and why you know so that now it's not a thing ya gore Tshepo's character if you get to a point or no ya o tina we thinking like no this person is just too much but it's a thing you are eager to see more of that character because now there's a little bit of humanness in that character itself right so that now it's not a stereotype of someone who's just crazy in class you know you must be able to see yourself in that character as well and funny enough on TikTok le di Instagram makhotmana pana anoro monna emona witsi nna ne ke tswana le ntwana e o tla mo tlase and when I look at their profile they are married now my brother you know and also Tshepo I mean people need to and also there's something that people need to learn in Tshepo's character as well or what kind of man is he going to become you know with his kind of thinking the things that he believes in you know musadi khono motlobola phinta ya peri those kind of things you understand wa mo apolanza aperi you know or what kind of man is he going to be you understand his views on you know homosexuals and all those things you know so there's that in Tshepo's character more than just this person who just causes chaos in class he comes because in his form of bullying is way too complex it's broad you know okay study shakra ni dareng the man ke pule number 1 aka so bethi ka dimpa maka di face mara ntshetswang ka you understand and a lot of people cause then I if you see later in the story if I also check you know no spoilers alert there's a shift nyana there you know to and then that would then make these characters to realize oh damn
this is why he's like this
later in your no if I hadn't said that to that next person then that means they would never went to that far you know or batho ba pa ba low self esteem it's because of the things that you know Tshepo would say or do in class to embarrass those people because now it's an assertion of power you know you want to feel powerful you know in that regard because I don't know and also now it questions that thing why does this character wants you know to be seen why about attention so much then how to boy and I wanna the reason why that character is believable because there's so much work that has been done in that thing and a lot of people think because or think it's not that easy because I'm telling another person's story right
Exactly.
it's just that I'm being this vessel that you know transports this story you know for you know the casting director was you know cause I had the privilege or shoot the casting director you know and would have you know you know and most of the creative team were the youngins were young so it was even easy you know really babo research study lo babo tsoro ke aretse so hapo mfana we tshware so you know all 3 of our directors Themba Mfebe Ausinthabi Sandile as well you know like those except for sister I guess sister maybe sister I think you are a young England but so the like creative team they were you know youngsters you know so some things they were there also to guide me also you know on where to go where not to go you know because another thing is they know how far that character goes you know so I'm discovering the character as I'm doing it so that I don't have limitations as to I know where this character is going to end up so I think I'm going to play this character this way right also Lena along surprise sometimes he did that so I think give him Tshepo in a nutshell
That's dope, man. Love the character development. Tshepo. Get to see. But
and some people think I can't play other characters.
I saw you in
we've seen you do theater work. We've seen you be incredible in so many productions. You know. So don't listen to those people.
Yes, exactly my point. And Lena,
you've done a lot of films, feature films, to something thing available online. Letago as well. So you are not a one-dimensional
actor.
Exactly my point. Casting directors, I hope you are listening.
You are not that. When it comes to having play characters, you are able to do that. Okay, right. You are able to do that. Last question. I think also very same thing that I spoke about, the character Letago. We need more grace as people. So I hope if they watch it from that kind of perspective, they need to have that sense of, being, if the other Tshepos are watching the Tshepo, they have to realize, man, this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? When is season 3 coming? When is season 2 coming?
What is season 3, my bro?
Youngings.
You guys are on season 2 now, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Season
Season 3 but to announce a sharp.
Tshepo.
You're asking the wrong people.
Yeah.
Are you saying that as well?
Hey, man.
No, but if
Bata
announcer.
Okay.
Hey.
We can't wait.
Because in Agora season 1, about when is season 2 coming? They will announce, guys.
Okay.
I agree. There's the platform. They follow them on social media. They will announce.
Yeah.
Oh, let's put our side thing, I promise.
And NTA, it also goes to that side or off camera, on camera. There's some things that you cannot disclose.
If go pillow talk.
Pillow talk fela ka baby wait man.
Yeah, September.
Yeah.
If somebody's been watching, they probably realize what both these people are in relationships, and that's what they've been trying to tell me the whole time.
Yes.
They are flexing.
Yeah, relationships are good.
I love it for the both of you.
Yeah.
Hey, no, it's a conversation. It's a conversation for another day, But I love love, Let's have more grace. Let's have more love. I believe that when people experience love, they get to be the best of themselves. You have to have that one person who's going to constantly validate you, who's constantly going to give you love. This world is a very dark place. As we started speaking about how you see the world through humor. Humor plus love, I believe it's magic, and I'm learning to practice that for myself. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for coming, and I promise you that at some point we're going to call you for part 2. Hopefully those brands are going to sponsor us so that we can
they must sponsor us.
I know, definitely. But we know where we stand with our morals. I love that conversation. We shouldn't compromise on our values, but we are not saying that people should be like us. You know what works for you.
Yeah, you know what works for you.
Gents, Tshepo, Letago.
Yes.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having us and for believing in us.
I've always been believing in you
We're still
guys.
speaking that way, like, why are Batla?
But
wako podcasting hai ba sound serious.
That's why.
Because wait till nake tswa kontlung ne kere ke tlo babo man, so I'm thinking, when you look at
the retribution of the arts sector.
Yeah, there's some dodgy things that are happening there, mainly because next time I'm like, let's just have a conversation, man.
I hope it was fun for you guys.
No,
we tried.
It felt short.
We're trying to have a little bit of seasoning in season 2. Try to. I get as you grow, you get to understand. You get to relax in this thing. You get to be flexible. You get to see what's working and what's not working for different guests and for different people.
And they sharp or a little bit, so I won't come to any podcast if there's something happen. Maybe I'm going through a divorce. Then you don't explain why I get divorced.
Content.
The main mission of this is to build legacies for you, to contribute. Okay, more legacy Letago. Here is one brick from the Ink and Think podcast. Tshepo. Here is a small brick from the Ink and Think podcast. That's the plan. So we're not trying to break. We're not trying to destroy you. So we're trying to have fun in a very beautiful way, but getting to understand these intellects behind these creative people. That's why we call it the Ink and Think. Because there is magic in there. Soup in the brain. Behind this clowning, there's a lot of thinking that goes behind. There's a lot of genius that goes behind these things. In as much as they are funny, they are not casual. There's intent, there's talent behind it.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Sure. Right, so this was the Ink and Think podcast. Tshepo Matlala, Letago, Molapo, one of my 2 favorite creatives in the world. Check them out on streaming services. They are there. Go Showmax, Letago is there. Go Soft Life, Tshepo, Youngings, and if you want to experience them, check them on their social media. They do a lot of theater works, and they are amazing at it. Signing out.
Signing out.